First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately?
Furthermore, the equation E is equal mc squared.
We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature.
That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, oh, this is a physics excursion.
Science. What is it all about?
The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of the nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time.
Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
You're tuned into what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, 4ZZZ, your community radio broadcaster. Beat it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app, or streaming us live from our sensational website at 4ZZZ.org.au. And, of course, you can always listen back to our show or any 4ZZZ show for that matter using the Ingenious On Demand feature also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K, your weekly dose of science. And joining me for this episode XXX to speak about all things science are two of my favourite science influencers. Good morning, Peta.
Hello, Max. I was bracing for it and it happened.
Good unspecified space-time to you too, Max. You're in trouble again for the podcast. It is episode number XXX, also known as episode number 678,
Yeah.
678, all in a row.
Nice. Yeah, okay.
And we're two away from getting away from those cursed numbers.
Oh, so close.
So close.
Do you know what's special about the number 678, though?
No, I was going to look up
It
the
is
route number for
the number
TransLink.
of nuns who were involved in the Nuns study, which analysed their ageing and dementia patterns since 1986.
That's a lot of nuns.
Okay.
678 nuns were involved in the Nuns study. It was started up by David Snowden, PhD, in 1986, and is now headed up by Margaret Flanagan, MD, at UT Health San Antonio's Glenn Briggs Institute for Alzheimer's and Neurodegenerative Diseases. Some of the latest takeaways, there was a paper about it this year in February.
Okay.
Some individuals showed
And we
resilience.
missed it?
And we missed it. Some individuals showed resilience to cognitive decline despite an Alzheimer's diagnosis, indicating unknown protective mechanisms at work.
Can I give a hypothesis? Mm-hmm. Just living with women. Just living with your gals. It sounds like a great idea. It's probably fantastic for your brain.
The Nun study, 678 nuns. Coming up, Max,
Yes.
we've got some breaking news as of a few minutes ago about why Australian cane toads are even more cannibalistic than the original cane toads from their native habitat in South America. Izzy's not here, so in her honour, I'm covering some of the latest cane toad science. And I've also got some stuff on why humans may be making Italian bears smaller. Not smaller, sorry. I don't know why did I say the word smaller. Actually, they are smaller, but the study's about why they're less aggressive.
Yeah, I'm just imagining humans in the wild being like, no, this is good. This is good. What you've got going is good. But I would prefer it just a little smaller. Just a little in the ears. I'd love that.
What are you doing?
I'm going to be talking about some urchins and things that are happening to urchins worldwide, big question mark, as well as what I think might be our most popular TikTok video of the year yet, which is saying something, because this science has come out, totally new recording of orcas doing something. I just think it's got every possibility of going viral.
The youth strive for the orca content, Max.
That's right.
What do you got?
I got an alternative mouthwash to try out, and we're going to revisit the Miami GP weekend during the MotoRap. I'm going to shout out to Jay. He texted in.
Oh, main man.
Yeah, wishing us all the best. And, we'll play a bit of this. Make it happen, Peter.
As you know, I like to quiz you guys. So nearly 6 years ago, our world got turned on its head.
Yeah.
What happened?
Nearly 6
the polls
years ago.
changed. I don't know.
2019, COVID-19.
Correct. Thank God you got that. Would have been really worried if you hadn't. That would have been a real stress test of the brain. Now, I think we commonly think of diseases as a very human thing. I don't think we often think about how they move through animals, besides maybe the bubonic plague. I think people have been blaming rats for that forever. But we don't think about how they move through animals, and especially not marine animals, I would guess. Like, how many marine plagues do you know about?
Marine plagues?
Yeah.
Wow.
Few, right?
Well,
Right.
I mean, there's the algal bloom.
Yeah, the algal bloom.
Algal bloom, you probably could, but it's a bit different in that it's just in the water. It's not really transferring from animal to animal. It's just in their environment.
Yeah.
True.
So, new research shows a global marine pandemic might be behind a near total population collapse of long-spined sea urchins in the Canary Islands. And it might be affecting sea urchins across the globe.
Long-spined sea urchins are the ones causing urchin barrens along the Australian coast.
Yes,
aren't they?
I'm going to get into that. So, sea urchins, if you don't know much about them, which is fair.
Okay.
No, so I'll get into that. The reason it's not a good news story is that sea urchins are powerful ecosystem engineers. At healthy levels, they graze back fast-growing algae, creating space for slow-growing species like corals, calcifying algae, a bunch of other things. They're also crucial food sources for fish, crustaceans, starfish, marine mammals. But, as Gabe alluded to, when urchin populations boom, they can eat their way out of house and home, basically. So that's something that's happening in Australia at the moment. Our native sea urchins, the long-spined ones, are moving south as waters warm and literally eating fish out of house and home, reducing massive kelp forests to actual rubble in things that are called urchin barrens. So essentially, depending on urchin populations, whether they boom or they crash, entire reef systems can flip into new, often degraded states. And obviously we have this example of urchins in Australia and what they're doing right now. But there was actually a really good example of sea urchin dynamics that we learned in ecology, and I'm going to see if Gabe remembers this one. The other animal that was there was otters.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is all about the keystone species and things.
Yeah, this is a keystone species thing. Now, the urchins aren't really, they are a keystone species. They're not the one you learn about in that example.
The famous keystone species is the wolves of Yellowstone. You remove them, the ecosystem collapses, you put them back in, everything shifts and
to the point where the rivers changed directions
because the deer are more afraid, so they're not on the banks as much, so stuff can grow on the banks, so the rivers completely change because they've got vegetation on them. So the idea with the otters and the kelp is you remove the otters out of the ecosystem, the urchins explode and the kelp gets hit as a result.
It was actually also orcas to throw back. It was that there weren't as many orcas. So there were too many orcas, so they ate too many otters, and then the otters didn't eat enough urchins, and then the whole thing changed. So urchins are a part of many, many different ecosystems worldwide, lots of different ones, and in almost every ecosystem they're in, they're called ecosystem engineers because they essentially build or destruct the structure of the ecosystem. So honestly, we could probably stand to lose a few of our urchins at the moment, especially down south. Not all, but some. But this is not about them. This is from the University of La Laguna. QS ranking, please.
Oh, that could
in
be
Spain.
Anywhere.
In Spain? 600 to 700.
Yeah, that's 750.
1,500 plus. Good job, La Laguna.
They made the list. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. And they focused on Diadema africanum, a long-spined sea urchin that has shaped shallow rocky reefs in the Canary Islands for decades. Now, historically, this species has become so abundant that it's made urchin barrens, areas stripped entirely of the kelp. But they've also had some crashes as well. They're a very boom and bust sort of animal. So this all started in early 2022 when researchers and divers began seeing sea urchins really behaving strangely. So moving slowly, losing spines and tissues, and then eventually dying. There's actually some pictures online of them just empty. So it's basically just the shell with none of the organs. And it's not like something's eaten them. They've just sort of disintegrated, which is not great. So the researchers jumped in to investigate. They did large-scale underwater surveys at 76 sites. Then the coolest thing, in my opinion, is they actually handed out citizen science reporting to places all over Europe. They were like, here's the form you need to fill out. If you're a diver in Europe, please go fill out these reports on your local urchins.
Yeah.
They also did some larval traps to measure reproduction. And then they looked at ocean currents, waves, and temperature data to try and see, like, if this is a pandemic, how is it spreading? Is there a way that it could be spreading? Does this make sense? Through this, they saw that the disease spread island by island across the Canary archipelago, followed by a second wave of mortality in 2023. And the critical thing that they noticed here with their larval work was that neither of them showed much recovery. So in previous mortality events in 2008 and 2018, they bounced right back afterwards. They're, like I said, boom and bust species, they're kind of used to it. They're built so that they can reproduce very quickly. But that wasn't happening. They were just kind of stopping and then crashing. In total, these two events meant a 74% population drop on La Palma since 2021 and a 99.7% collapse on Tenerife. That's massive. That is almost everything. And they're not bouncing back. So this is an abundance at some of the lowest levels ever recorded, and the Tenerife one is nearing extinction. And even weirder, at approximately the same time, the urchins were also dying in the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, the Sea of Oman, and the Western Indian Ocean, which is, if you know your seas, a very large area of the globe. If this was a human pandemic, we would be freaking out because it's everywhere. Yeah, they think it's a marine pandemic. The annoying thing is they haven't actually confirmed the exact pathogen in the Canary Islands. They don't know what it actually is. Elsewhere, similar die-offs have been linked to single-celled parasites called, and I really apologise here, scuticoscillate ciliates. Thanks for putting ciliate in there twice. I get that they have ciliates. That's appreciative. Specifically, this one species called philaster. Essentially, it just degrades them. It's a bad little thing that hurts them. The real takeaway here, I think, is that we wouldn't have known unless we had global collaboration between sciences and open science communication. This could have just been, our local population is going through something awful, let's look into this. But because we were able to say, hey, you guys also do these citizen science requests and we're going to do larval things and we're going to do all these tests all over the place, they're able to basically say that we're pretty sure something is spreading across the globe, killing these sea urchins. So hopefully it means that they'll be able to get some pretty quick action on it. The Canary Islands obviously have got a pretty bad rap so far, but maybe they'll be able to help urchins elsewhere because that Diadema genus is pretty much what's around the globe. If it affects them, it'll affect ours.
Ours is a different species, but within that same
genus. Same diadema, same long-spined. So they look very similar and will have a similar biology. So, really interesting, quite concerning for a lot of the globe, but cool science, I think, in my opinion.
Cool.
Max, are flamingos on the list?
No, not yet, but they got a wonderful plumage, I've been told.
Sorry, they're not on the list of birds you know, but you're aware that they've got a lovely plumage. Vaguely aware.
Maybe this is what conversations were like in ye old England in the 1700s. I've heard tale of these flamingos and their flamboyant
Tell
plumage.
me about this black swan you found in WA.
You tuned to 477, and the show is No Idea with me, Max, Gabe, and our friendly neighbourhood marine scientist, Peter. We got some text in from Murray.
Yeah, you can always do this, by the way. If you have a question about marine science, I'm always happy to jump on it. So Murray's got two here talking about, number one, white spot on local crustaceans like prawns and crabs and the fisheries warnings around them. Just want to confirm that. If you see any white spot, absolutely do not move it. Preferably don't move much from the marine environment because it can be a big deal. Also, to prevent white spot, it's important to reiterate, please do not use any prawns or bait that is meant for human consumption as bait. Buy your bait from bait shops. Really, really important because the stuff for human consumption can come with things like white spot. That's how we got it a couple of years ago. The second question is about urchins being boom and bust species like rabbits or locusts, where when they boom, surely they create ideal cramped environments for the disease and also kind of make themselves go back to bust. And this is one really interesting thing about urchins, is that urchins are one of the few, we call them boom and bust species, that when they boom, they don't actually really go down again because they have this thing where they can switch into a different food source. So they go from these big kelp forests to encrusting algae. That's why you get a barren and things can't grow back because they
just
keep
survive.
themselves.
They're not really, they're not doing well.
No, they're not thriving. They're not having a great time, but they will just continue eating whatever is left on the rock forever. And so the rocks stay bare.
There's a big long tail at the end of the boom.
Yeah, huge, indefinite, really, because they can just keep staying at this level that will not allow regrowth, which is a huge problem. That's why they're called urchin barrens. They become barren. In terms of the disease stuff, I don't know anything specifically, but I do imagine that if they're living in close quarters, it can have that same effect of being able to be like, oh, well, although there are different... When you're in water, the pathways of how diseases will transmit will be slightly different. So, yes, essentially, but also fun fact about urchins is that, well, not so fun fact, is that they aren't like other boom and bust animals in that they don't really eat themselves out of house and home. They just eat everyone else out of house and home.
There you go first, Gabe.
Oh, Max, I've got these Italian bears for us. So, it's because, well, it might be that humans are making these bears more docile. They might go chow. Who knows?
Ciao bear.
Ciao bear, yeah. This is led out of the University of Ferrara. QS ranking, please.
Ooh, Ferrara. I'm thinking like Ferrero, but I know that's a completely different word. I'm going to go 780.
I'll go 4ZZZ's favourite number, 420.
A 951 to 1,000 in a range there. They're called Apennine brown bears. They have a couple other names too, but that's the one we're going to go by. They're a subspecies of brown bear. And if you haven't heard of them before, I don't blame you, because there's only about 50 of them, according to a 2015 study. 50.
That's got to be critically endangered then, right?
They are in central Italy in the Apennine Mountains. Now, those mountain ranges run up the middle of the entire country. They're in a small spots, 6.4 thousand kilometres squared, which is a little under 1/10 the size of Tasmania.
Really?
That 50 population number they're at now is stable, according to the latest population counts. Stably at 50, but
so
much
rare.
lower than they used to be before. Tens of thousands of years ago, brown bears were across Europe. They were interbreeding. They were moving around. They were all interlinked. And then since about 12,000 years ago, we came out of the last ice age on planet Earth. And so there's been big changes, especially to places like Europe, quite close to where there was a big impact from those ice age changes to the ecosystem. Yeah, the one with Sid the Sloth.
Yeah.
And those habitat changes with human interactions then piling on top increasingly over the last few thousand years has meant that a lot of those bears have been killed or had their movements changed or had prey move, and so they've all been split up a lot more. And now these Apennine mountain ones are completely cut off from all other brown bears by things like forest clearing for farming and housing. There is no real hope of ever connecting them back up. They're so isolated from the next nearest populations of brown bears, and they have been isolated, according to some estimates, for as long as 3,000 years, like Roman times. These Apennine brown bears
always breaking up families,
have been locked into this little bit in central Italy. They're a bit different to the normal brown bears. They're a subspecies of the brown bear. Their jaws are a bit sort of shorter and tougher. They're built for crushing nuts. So they've got a very strong jaw strength to do that. They do run a little smaller overall. And they're known for being a bit more on the docile side than the usual brown bears.
Like, can I give them a little scritch?
I wouldn't try it, but a bit more docile. A new paper has found humans, haven't just stopped at cutting them off from their family. We probably have actually had a role in making them more docile. It's pretty cool stuff. They've looked really in depth at the DNA, the genes of these Apennine brown bears, compared it to some other brown bears from around the world, including Slovakia, and tried to isolate what's different about them. They focused in on 17 genes that they said showed variants that were quite unique and shown across a lot of Apennine brown bears. And so then tried to look at what sort of things those genes could be doing, what changes they might be responsible for. And a couple of them are associated with behaviors that might be tamer, more docile, less aggressive. There are a few of the genes that are associated, two of them, which are associated with tamer behavior in things like our domesticated
I was going to say,
species.
are they domesticating them? Well, are we domesticating them?
And there's a couple of genes that are associated with something called Williams-Buren syndrome, which is in humans associated with very pronounced friendliness and openness.
I like how there's a syndrome. You're like, you have this syndrome. You are very friendly.
You're way too nice.
You're so friendly. It's actually upsetting. It's like it's probably not normal.
Yeah. That's right. So they say the implications of this are it is highly likely that that humans selectively removing aggressive bears, killing them basically because they're competing with farmland. There's honey in the area produced, and there's people living nearby, and over those thousands of years that they've been there with humans around them, potentially just constantly being selected for the more docile ones, or at least the ones that aren't being aggressive towards humans and posing more of a threat, or being taken, ones that are less likely to be killed by humans, are potentially less aggressive. And so we could be changing them. Even over the last 600 years or so, they say, is where there's been a big sort of shift happening.
Let bears be angry again.
And so, it's really interesting relationship where humans may be... where humans may be changing the behavior of these bears. I don't buy the full story just yet that they're selling here, that there's this very clear relationship between humans killing some types of the bears, the others living on to them being less aggressive, because there's just way too much complexity going on in genes between species. They're using different species as indicators for which genes might be related to tameness or less aggressiveness, and we've seen just recently, this year we've seen how
the Japanese brown bears.
How you can't do that. Well, I was thinking about the dire wolves, the fake dire wolves that got edited from a grey wolf into looking more like a dire wolf by the Colossal group, and how they made them white coated, but to do that they actually knew from a DNA reconstruction of dire wolves, direwolf fossils and specimens, they knew some of the stuff that was associated with white coats and direwolves, but they also knew that same gene in domestic dogs, which is far closer to the grey wolves they're looking at. They can be associated with blindness. Like the same gene that gave direwolves white coats can give a domestic dog
so we don't know how they're interacting.
Right, and they're so closely related. That's 99% the same DNA between those things, and in one it's triggering blindness because of how it's interacting with the rest of the slight changes across the genome. So they ended up just using a different gene from domestic dogs that can cause a white coat. So there's complexity of what goes on in the genes of even similar species is just way too complicated to make big assertions like this. Like, this causes this in this species, so it's going to cause the same thing in the other species. But they have established that there are these genes that these Apennine brown bears do have genetic differences, very unique variants,
finding in itself
that aren't displayed in that combination in the other species. So they've confirmed that there are definitely genetic differences going on here. It builds on previous work that's shown that they are at higher risk, obviously, of inbreeding because there's only 50 of them. I saw one paper that was surprised how well they're doing and how few of them are directly related to each other. But they do have a higher level of genetic similarity. Yeah, totally. They do have which increases risk for things like mutations from inbreeding. So
can't they just import one other brown bear from like a bull bear?
Well, they've thought about it.
Yeah, why not?
But this is part of the justification for this work. Is they're going, well, doing that now risks the genetic uniqueness of these particular bears.
Oh yes, the genetic uniqueness that's going to cause them to go extinct.
But some of it is probably natural genetic uniqueness for things like the local,
Okay, we're going to cut it there because we're dropping out, Gabe.
What is the independent variable that makes No Idea tick? That's what I want to know.
You're tuned to 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Gabe, we've got Peta, we've got part 3 of this.
What do you got, Max?
It's a mouthwash alternative, a meta-analysis from researchers at the University of Sharjah. That's in the UAE, or the United Arab Emirates. QS ranking.
So, give me the name again.
Sharjah.
1400.
I What? I've never heard of any of the universities we've talked about today.
No.
It's actually quite low, surprisingly.
500.
Yeah, 328.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And
well,
they published their study in the Journal of Herbal Medicine, and it suggests that a natural herbal substitute could potentially replace the synthetic mouthwash ingredient chlorhexidine. The researchers followed agreed meta-analysis 2020 guidelines, which are designed to increase the reliability and transparency of systematic reviews and meta-analyses. The authors also noted that they used the healthcare PICO framework, which stands for Patient/Problem, Intervention, Comparison and Outcome, to structure their clinical research questions. The study analysed 389 articles from 6 electronic health databases and an additional 5 articles from manual citation searching. The selected literature consisted of randomised controlled trials and clinical studies with varying designs and low to moderate risk of bias. Here we go. You ready? Although garlic extract can produce side effects, they are typically milder than those associated with synthetic chemicals. Reported issues include a burning sensation, an unpleasant odour, which may influence whether patients are willing to switch from chlorhexidine to garlic-based
can I ask, what are they looking for the mouthwash to do?
As an
what's the outcome?
Antimicrobial.
Right.
Yeah.
So usually from what I know, people use mouthwash for fresher breath. I don't imagine, just hear me out, that garlic essence is really what most people would jump to. Feels like a stretch.
This is why it's in the weird science.
Oh, you're perfectly right. Please go on.
Garlic has long been recognised as one of the most potent naturally occurring antibacterial and antifungal crops. Scientific interest has focused particularly on allicin, a compound known for its strong antimicrobial activity. Although classified botanically as a vegetable, garlic is commonly used as both a herb and a spice.
Interesting. I like that they had to clarify that in the Journal of Herbal Medicine.
Yeah, they're like, just in case, guys, guess what? It is actually herbal. Ha ha ha.
Colloquially herbal.
That's right. Garlic extracts are widely available at various health products over the counter. By comparison, synthetic agents like chlorhexidine usually require a prescription from a dentist or physician. The review points...
God, no. Who wants to get a prescription from their dentist about something to put in their mouth? Just put something random in there. Figure it out.
The review points to numerous studies that demonstrate antimicrobial effects of garlic extracts against a wide range of bacteria, fungi and viruses. It also notes that garlic extract has been explored in other areas of dental hygiene. The authors note is their conclusion.
Hasn't taken off though, has it?
These studies have contributed to understanding the antimicrobial role of garlic extract in comparison to synthetic agents like chlorhexidine. However, most studies are in vitro, which means in a test tube, vary in methods and lack clinical standardisation, highlighting the need for further research, so you could be involved with this, Peter, to confirm garlic's efficacy in dental practice. This uncertainty presents a significant gap in the literature on evidence-based antimicrobial therapies.
Oh, it's a gap, is it? A significant gap on whether we should be putting garlic in our mouths to freshen our breath.
And we were talking about this off air, but to help fill this gap, for the next week, Peter, you're going to go to your dentist and get one of these
prescription.
Chlorhexidine.
Not a prescription. Why would I ask my dentist for a prescription?
I'll get something over the counter, and Max, you're going to get one of those jars of garlic mints and just switch that around every day. We'll just see if people comment on our breath, and we'll report back next week.
Yeah. Make sure you smash your garlic. Max is the way to activate the allicin in it. It's really important. I am a garlic lover, and I would like to say to other garlic lovers, make sure you're smashing your garlic.
To be fair, though, we use the cloves, don't we? When you get a sore tooth, you can they'll numb the pain inside your mouth. So
yeah, I mean,
sure.
Herbal remedies.
Sure. Gabe, just say sure. Just say sure. It's fine. Sure. May not be no idea approved. It's Max approved.
Okay.
Glad to hear that you do have a friend called Peter from the Marine degree at JCU from 1993.
What I'm hearing from this, Max, is we didn't get the original Friendly Neighbourhood Marine Scientist called Peter.
Yeah, so
we got ripped off with
we'll put the
Gen
set out.
Do you know what tuna is?
Fish.
It's
someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start. Gabe, what does the cat say?
Yeah.
Max, what does the chicken say?
Cluck, cluck.
And Izzy, what does a shark say? All right. What are we doing? Now, you better be recording this one, Gabe, because if I've ever been suspicious that some research was done for online clout, this might be it. And maybe we can share in it, all right? Get some eyes on No Idea through this research, because this research combines some of everyone's favourite marine animals. We got the big hitters, orcas, dolphins, and king salmon. Like, it's just some heavy hitters of the ocean environment. Now, it's not new to see dolphins and orcas interacting. They're both super intelligent, they're curious, they're social animals, so it's not really surprising that they do interact. You know, they're in the same areas, they're both predators, they probably do interact a lot. We've seen it a lot. But researchers from the University of British Columbia QS ranking, please.
Oh,
68.
Uni of BC. Yeah, I think high, right? 25.
40.
Ooh.
Hi. Go Canada. They have recorded them doing something together for the first time. Any guesses?
Hunting.
Correct. It's hunting.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's happened. Is they've recorded dolphins and orcas hunting together for the first time. They think. Obviously, we can't tell intentions. We can never tell intentions from other species, so it's our best guess. So orcas are known to hunt cooperatively within their own pods, but they usually hunt independently of other species. I'm going to put a little caveat here and say kind of besides us, because both dolphins and orcas have been known to hunt with humans, sort of in different ways, but not intraspecies between the two, between like dolphins and orcas. Never been recorded before. Meanwhile, dolphins are often seen close to orca without signs of conflict. Often, not always. And scientists have long wondered whether these encounters were competitive, coincidental, or something a little more strategic. And this study provides strong evidence that they might actually be working together. So, what actually happened here? Researchers tracked 9 northern resident killer whales, orcas, around Vancouver Island in August 2020. And they did a lot of stuff here. So they combined drone footage, underwater cameras, acoustic recordings, and our favourite biologging tags attached with suction cups to follow whale movements, diving behaviour, and hunting activity in fine details. They put some cameras on the orcas' backs.
Right, yeah, I was going to ask that question. Like,
we love this.
Yeah, brilliant.
And they've posted some of the videos. Yeah. So if you go to our TikTok later, we will have this and you can see what this looks like. But let me just walk you through it for now. It's like an orca POV. It's what I thought living in the ocean was like when I was 8. So our orca hears some calls from nearby Pacific white-sided dolphins and speeds up to join the pod. Then we see the dolphins swimming around in front, seemingly comfortable in the orca's presence. They're very close. And the dolphins are chattering and calling, while the orca remains pretty silent, to be honest. That's all dolphin sounds you can hear so far. And then suddenly, another orca appears in the footage and seems to drop a large portion of what I think is king salmon, which our orca eats and maybe disregards. I can't really tell from there. That is the video. It's incredible. I hope you go and watch it. It's such a wonderful POV. It feels like in 2001 when we had those rainbow dolphin pictures. That's the orca calling there. That's that echolocation from the orca. But everything else is dolphins, which is kind of rare. So, what did they actually observe from these videos? This sort of follows what they found along all of the videos. First of all, orca repeatedly changed direction to follow dolphins, especially during foraging dives. So they would sort of like find a pod of dolphins and then follow them. And they didn't really specify in the media release just how follow them they were. Like they were in the pod, I would say. They're really close to them, like right behind. And when they were foraging, so you can kind of hear, like you would have heard in that clip there, there's lots of clicking. It's not just calling, it's that, which is the echolocation. So they know the dolphins are hunting something from that. And the orca appeared to reduce their own echolocation. Remember, we didn't hear that until right at the very end. And they think they actually might be listening in on the dolphin sonar to help locate their prey. So rather than doing it themselves, they just go, hey, you guys like do that, I'll just listen in, which is kind of crazy. A whole thing in itself as to how they visualize that, how do they know that, how do they communicate that? No idea. That it's just an assumption here. And then they also reduced their own echolocation so that they didn't, overshadow it because they are much larger, they're louder. And then, so the dolphins actively hunted smaller fish because the orcas were targeting large Chinook, otherwise known as king salmon, which dolphins can't eat whole. They're too big. They're huge. So that's why, essentially, the dolphins are going after these small fish.
They need their food cut up for them.
That is exactly it, Gabe. After the orca captured the salmon, the dolphins were sometimes seen scavenging the fish scraps left behind, and they saw the orca basically chewing stuff and then spitting it out again to be in smaller pieces for the dolphins so that they could eat it. That is, to me, the big thing here. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the video with that on camera. I think when our orca that we're the POV from just drops it out, I think that's what it's doing, but we can't really confirm because you can't see the mouth. You're on its back. But the major thing here is also that there were no signs of aggression, avoidance, or theft between the species. When the dolphins were eating scraps, they weren't stealing it off the orcas. The orcas had left it. They were coming in and eating it after that. So why does this say that it's cooperative? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but essentially they think that this is a mutually beneficial arrangement. The dolphins act as like mobile scouts, helping orca detect these large salmon more efficiently. Now, what they didn't go into is why that might work. I don't know if their echolocation is more detailed, or whether maybe the salmon don't run away from them so they can go and find them more easily. There's lots of reasons why that could work. It wasn't really specified. Then the orca break up the big fish, creating edible scraps for the dolphins that they can access. And they also think the dolphins might be getting another benefit here, which is protection from other orcas. So these resident pods are fish eating. They eat fish, mainly this king salmon. They love that stuff. But other orca pods that travel through the area actually do eat other mammals. They eat dolphins. They hunt dolphins. So they think that maybe by sticking by these orca pods and working together, they're sort of providing like bodyguard-esque services to the dolphins so that they won't be harassed by other orca, which is just wild. It's obviously not confirmed, but that is a wild idea that they're just like, well, if we hang around with, Big Pete, who likes us, we won't be harassed by that other dude over there.
My big cousin. Yeah.
My big cousin, yeah. Hey, Cousin Pete. You're looking bigger every day, my guy. It's a really, really interesting study. It's gone a bit viral all over the news recently.
Yeah.
The researchers do stress that more work is needed to understand certain things, which I agree. First of all, we'll never know what's going on inside their heads, so you can't expect that. But we could find out things like how common this behavior is, whether both species gain equal energetic benefits. To me, it kind of sounds like the dolphins are doing a lot of the hard work and the orcas are just hanging on. So we kind of need to figure out where the benefits really lay. Is it truly you wouldn't call it symbiotic, but
the
is it
orcas
mutually
are chefing
beneficial?
it up though, so they're
They are chefing it up. They're using their teeth. They couldn't access it otherwise. And whether this cooperation is happening in other regions with other orca populations. We know from every time we've talked about orca on this show that orca and dolphins are very social creatures. So they have behaviors in populations, it's not like everything is built in. A lot of it is things that they've learned over time and passed through their generations. So it's like a local knowledge thing. So whether this happens in other pods of orcas and dolphins is completely unknown and will require a lot more research.
I'd be curious to know if the king salmon are normal in that part of the world, or if it's more of a seasonal big influx that they're going for, because we've seen a lot of stuff recently about when food is bountiful, that's when a lot of this sort of cooperation is more likely to happen.
That's right.
I mean, I can say that this is...
fruit. Yeah.
Alcoholic fruit?
It's not the alcoholic fruit, but king salmon, this is where they're called Chinook salmon for a reason. It's because they were one of the preferred foods of the Chinook people.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a clue what that reference is. So they are a plentiful food source there. I do know that Canada has, like we mentioned last week on the show with the Norwegian escapees, they have issues with their own fish farming in Canada. So that probably is not helping that population, but it's a native population of fish. They do go in and out of rivers, but when they're not in the rivers, they stay at the sea where these guys are. So there's probably a decent population of salmon most of the time for them to be hunting. And like they said, these are fish-eating orca, which means that they've at least got enough fish that they like to remain on a fish diet. They're not super... I'm sure they stray every now and again, but they're clearly not focusing on mammals or anything else.
Did they catch any salmon hat action?
No. And I was not able to confirm whether this was near or in the same area as the salmon hat wearing salmon. The salmon hat wearing orca. Orcas, other salmon are not wearing themselves as hats. That would be absolutely off the charts wild. But it is the same salmon. So I imagine it's in a similar area, but I don't think it's the exact same orca. Those orca have kind of become infamous. So whenever they do something, it's sort of on the news.
That's it. And just a question about the speed, a speed test. Who's the quickest there? The orca's the quickest?
Oh, the orca by far.
Yeah.
Orca by far. Yeah, so the dolphins
Even quicker
they're
than the
working
salmon.
with here.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, easily. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a size thing, right? So
Yeah, okay.
they're just massive, and all of them are as hydrodynamic as each other, so they're going to be good. But the muscles in their tail, and I will say, even in the video, it's amazing watching them swim, both the orcas and the dolphin, because it looks like they're putting in little to no effort, and they are going so fast. Like their tails are so muscular. They are just built to do this. They're built to do it. But you can see the orca is putting in even less effort. They're like, it's like, when you've got a toddler and they're running full pelt, and you're just sort of walking beside them. That's essentially what's going on here.
Okay, now Formula One season's over, and there's not much motorsport to talk of as such. Gabe, you were thinking about talking about some regs, but we could probably do that next week, do you think?
Yeah, we'll talk about the 2026 changes for Formula One. It's doing some big ones.
Yeah.
Big shifts that we'll get into next week.
So I thought,
in the meantime, you've talked me into something else.
Yeah. So after the Miami race, which was the first sprint weekend of Formula One this year, I thought we'd have a listen back to how it sounded.
It's lights out and away we go.
F1 happened in Miami.
Yeah, it did.
Sprint weekend.
What a weekend.
It was. Look, people my age are not necessarily impressed with the format, the sprint format, but this is the new normal, I'm calling it, for at least 6 races, weekends this year.
I didn't know I was your age.
Yeah. Oh.
Damn.
Not a fan?
But, no, I'm a traditionalist on this one,
Yeah,
I think.
sure.
But I don't know. It was an exciting weekend nonetheless, I think.
What gets me is just the one practice to set up the cars.
I know.
And then they go racing, basically.
And then they're off.
Yeah. But I guess they
But,
got a lot of data, I guess, so they can set up the cars pretty easily.
And of course the simulators, etc. But it is interesting that does throw a bit of a spanner in the works for the teams where they do have to dial in that setup on track really quickly. So you do get some crazy results, and we did have one, right?
We did, because 4 different races, or 4 different sort of testing, like the qualies, 2 qualies, 2 races, 4 different people.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Which is what you want on a race weekend.
100%. And it all kicked off with an amazing lap from Kimi Antonelli, the school student.
Yeah.
I know.
Right. Like, he's still taking his university entrance exams.
He is. I saw...
Just hold my beer. I'm just going to go and set the fastest lap around Miami.
Well, I saw it was really interesting. Infographic pop up by the F1, just the F1 Instagram.
Yeah.
What, 63 days between getting the license to drive and then securing pole for like sprints.
Yeah.
So just a complete hold my beer if you can have a beer.
I don't know if he can. What's the drinking age in Italy?
It's he's now the youngest driver to win any form of qualifying. He beat Vettel by about 2 years, I think.
He did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Be interesting this year if he manages to actually do it for the real quality, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for a feature race, yeah.
He has the potential, right?
He does, yeah. He's a quick study, let's say that.
But unfortunately for him, he started alongside our Aussie, Oscar Piastri, who, as we now know, takes no prisoners. Yeah, so forced him wide, straight on the radio. Brilliant move, honestly.
By Piastri, yeah.
Fantastic. So ended up a McLaren 1-2, but not in the way we expected because of a late safety car. Bit of contact between Liam Lawson and Fernando Alonso led to some great timing for Lando, where Oscar's basically slowed on the pit straight. Lando's in the pits, comes out P1, takes the check in under safety car conditions.
Yeah, that was a gift for him, wasn't it?
Oh, the racing god smiled upon him.
For once, yeah. Because, remember when we thought he was going to get his first victory back when we used to have the GP in Russia?
Mm-hmm.
And he was leading the race, and then a big downpour happened. And do I come in for intermediates or do I stay out in the slicks? And he stayed out in the slicks, and he was doomed.
Against the team's orders.
The team's orders, yeah.
Yeah. Well. But it was all to play for. Come Sunday, the big race, the feature race.
Well, we had Saturday's qualifying,
of course,
and that was interesting because the Red Bull looked really quick, and it was quick, and Max Verstappen actually put it on pole, which was interesting. And our boy Oscar could only get 4th P4.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. And 0.15 seconds off of Verstappen's time.
But it probably was a good in reflection with hindsight, because Norris does what Norris does, tries to take the lead from the get-go. Like, he's got the fastest car there. He can wait a few laps. He doesn't have to pass Max Verstappen straight away. But no, into the first corner, he gets pushed wide.
Yes.
And Piastri just assumes P2. Job done.
I think he can get in his own head a little bit with Verstappen on the track. Like, I think after their battle last year, I think it's had a bit of psychological damage on him.
I think Norris is still racing Max Verstappen for the championship, where Piastri is the one he should be chasing, not Max Verstappen. Anyway,
Exactly. But ultimately, the McLaren cars being very easy on their tyres. Finished once again 1-2, but this time in the right order.
Yeah. Is that the tyre water cooling the tyres? Or this is what Red Bull reckons. They reckon they're spraying water on the tyres as they go around to keep.
But did you see Zach Brown with the water bottle labelled
water? And the thing is, what happens is the FIA scrutinised their braking system. McLaren got all the all clear, and this is where they got the advantage because they're running really cool brakes, and so the hubs on the wheels don't heat up and the tyres don't heat up. So they've done something amazingly in there, and Red Bull want to know what the hell they're doing to make this happen, to make their brakes so cool and effective at the same time. Gabe?
I think maybe that's why they keep looking at the mirror so much. It's just the drivers go.
And of course, it was an F1 Academy weekend. What do you got for us, Izzy?
Yeah, huge presence, massive presence over the Miami weekends, with lots of socials, posters, videos, all sorts, which is fantastic to see the girls getting that representation. Interspeared during the TV race coverage, there were personal interviews with some of the drivers. F1 Academy has 2 races. First race saw Durain Pin, who is, yes, younger than me. Thank you for pointing that out, whoever wrote this. Win in her Mercedes-sponsored car. Ultimately, race 2, though, was red flagged due to the torrential rain. Race organisers tried their best to make race 2 happen, but Sunday's tight race schedule wouldn't allow it. Chloe Chambers did earn 2 points for pole position regardless for her single dry lap in race 2.
Right.
So did a single lap, got on pole, she earned the 2 points.
Gotcha.
So when we look ahead for the women, previous times when race 2 has been cancelled, it has been shifted to the race weekend for the next
3
race.
races.
So they'll do 3 races.
Right, okay.
Which will be in Montreal, Canada in June, so the 13th to the 14th of June.
Right, okay.
But if you want your F1 Academy fix, their Netflix series is coming out on the 28th of May.
That's right.
And it's super interesting. It's 7 episodes, exclusively produced by F1 Academy's managing director, Susie Wolf, just a common household name there. And is also has Reese Witherspoon producing it under Hello Sunshine as well. So there is a lot of woman power backing this little docuseries. So very exciting to see. And that was probably one of the reasons why they got so much promo as well this weekend in launching that. So very fantastic weekend for the girls.
And Daniel Ricciardo's name was mentioned along with the F1 Academy. What's that about, Maxine?
His Enchanté fashion label has inked a deal with Visa Cash App Racing Bull's F1 Academy program. Now, this is not exactly the deal we thought Ricciardo might ink to return to the paddock, but I think it's very welcome nonetheless.
And we've got some breaking news, unfortunately. It looks as though Mick Doohan's son, Jack Doohan, will be left without a seat in Formula One for the next 6 races anyway.
Yeah, basically, if you want to know whether a rumour around the paddock is true, you wait until it's reported by Andrew Benson over at BBC. And unfortunately for Doohan, it looks like it's curtains.
Yeah.
So, but what has also broken overnight is that team principal Oliver Oakes has resigned.
Team principal of Alpine, so Doohan's team.
Yes. Which means the infamous Flavio Briatore will be taking over the duties.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to see Flavio back on the pit wall for the first time since, 2009?
It's the nature of these contracts now with the drivers, isn't it? That unless you're one of the huge names like a Hamilton, your contract will probably have something in it that says they can swap you out as much as they want with any of their reserve drivers.
And on the flip side,
teams
too,
nearby.
That if the car's not performing, some of the drivers have that in their contract as well, like Max Verstappen. If the car's not performing, then hey,
but you do need to be. You do need to be established to get something like that in your contract.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But for the rookies, it's sink or swim.
Okay, Izzy, you weren't here last week.
Okay.
But there's a bit of this going on. And that's the 4th time we've played it on the show.
Yes.
And I asked the question, how many times do you think the Australian National Anthem will be played on No Idea this year? Now, it's been played 4 times, as I said. There's 22 more opportunities. Last week, I said 12 possibly will hear it. 12 times we'll hear it, at a minimum. Gabe, what did you say, you reckon?
I said 8.
Yes, and Maximilian?
I said 9, which I'm now regretting. I think I did that because Gabe's guess was 8, but I reckon it will be higher than that.
You reckon it'll be higher than that, Matt?
And so, Izzy, just so you're on the record books for how many times the National Anthem
We
will be
were
played?
basing it on how many wins there would be from any Australian, which included Jack Doohan, which
it did.
Okay, so it's literally
you can
halved
factor
now.
that in, that he's now, yeah.
Okay. Oh, the stats are against me. Look, we could, observing last year's, where we saw steady winners and then just kind of a literal crash out halfway through, where Max Verstappen just kind of continued to dominate.
Yeah.
We've played 4 times already. Gabe was kind of correct with an 8. I might just round it up to a 10.
A 10?
Just a nice even 10.
8, 9, 10, 12. Nice.
8, 9, 10, 12.
Okay.
So I'm submitting, I'm writing it down right here. We're putting it in a 10.
You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We got Peter. What do you got for us, Gabe?
Max, a little later on in the show, we've got some space news. We're also going to hear a story that Izzy did earlier in the year. But since Izzy isn't IRL in here with us today, there was a story that came out that's just, Izzy's our resident K-Toad enthusiast. And
enthusiast may not be the right word.
Lover.
Enthusiast.
Not pro cane toad. Let's be clear here. No Queenslanders pro cane toad.
But the story came out that is Izzy's bread and butter. So in Izzy's honour, we're going to cover it because it's a story about cane toad cannibalism, specifically about why Australian cane toads are particularly cannibalistic sometimes.
They are evil. They're evil. That's the answer.
You know, you did the experiment at school where you chop open a cane toad.
Yes.
I when we got one, for some reason we'd done well at something, so we got to pick first.
You got to pick your
the biggest one. You went for the biggest one?
Yeah.
Makes an easier dissection.
Yeah.
We went to cut it open. We were doing the stomach contents analysis, to see what they'd eaten. And out comes another cane toad. Like a whole small cane
Just revolting.
And there was, I'm going to be honest with you, my high school brain did momentarily go, oh no, we got a pregnant one.
Oh my goodness.
But they do, of course, lay eggs. And not from the stomach.
Baby Gabe's like, oh no, a miracle of science.
And then I remembered that cane toads are
We're going to be
gross.
rewriting the books on this one.
You're like, hey, sir, look what I've got here. Everyone, take photos now.
And so it was, yes, we did go up to Miss and go.
Also in the stomach.
Yeah. What the heck is going on? And it was cannibalism, of course. But so what this research has done, it comes to us from the University of New South Wales. Got a QS ranking?
24.
I do. From memory, it's 20.
It is 20.
Yeah, okay.
And they had support from UMR Secapol, which is a research institute in Tahiti. But they were looking at
Do they have cane toads too? Oh, they have native ones, don't they?
They were looking,
very good, yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
They've just got others.
Well, where did we grab them from?
Well, for this study, they got them from...
No, but originally, when they were first...
South America.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm getting there.
He had a question. You weren't answering it. I did it.
They got their cane toads from across Australia, WA, Northern Territory and Queensland.
Yes.
And they did compare them to the native ones in French Guiana, which is in the mid-north coast of South America. That's the part of the native range.
Which do you think are the alpha cane toads? Like, aside from cannibalism, who do you think has the strongest, fastest, largest cane toads?
Fastest is us because they are evolving on the edge of where they're advancing through the country to be faster so that they can spread faster into new habitats. They got longer legs, they can jump further and travel further. So I reckon we got faster. Beefiest? Yeah,
I reckon somewhere up north. Maybe like Cairns has the beefiest cane toads.
And eat the small ones. So then...
eat the small ones.
Yeah.
But what also happens, Max, is there's a lot of cannibalism in cane toads at the tadpole stage.
Ew.
The tadpoles go hard on eating are their eggs, and particularly the pre-feeding larvae. So right before the egg sort of emerges out as a larvae, when its protective coating's at the lowest, they get eaten a lot. A lot of these things getting eaten by their own tadpoles. And they're potentially, the cane toad tadpoles are potentially being attracted to a toxin that's being excreted by the eggs called buffadienolide toxin, which gets excreted by the egg. So it's meant to protect them, but they might actually be using it as a detection thing of where they are.
They're like yummy younger brothers.
And it's been found that over 99% of a cane toad clutch in Australia can be lost to cannibalism as those tadpoles eat each other, eat the little eggy larvae before they even emerge.
Can we make it 100%?
Yeah, let's work
let's
on
do
that, cane toads. You can get it higher. I don't believe that's the best we can do.
You can do better.
How do we make cane toad eggs more delicious to cane toad tadpoles? That's the real science here.
That's it. But we know it's a higher cannibalism rate in these tadpoles of cane toads than they have in French Guiana. Guyana, sorry. And so up to twice as high in some stats. And so what they wanted to look at is why, and also why sometimes it isn't, because the Australian ones aren't consistently highly cannibalistic. They vary a lot, which is why we still have so many. We're not always eating over 99% of the clutch. Yeah. So that's what this research has looked into. And they found a bunch of stuff. First, they did confirm that stuff that the French Guiana native cane toad tadpoles have lower rates of cannibalism than cane toad tadpoles from the Northern Territory, WA and Queensland. They were all pretty consistent across Australia, and it was about double the average, the mean cannibal rate, the average cannibalism rate in these tadpoles.
They are just evil.
Than the ones from the native range. They also found that older and bigger cane toad tadpoles ate more of their brethren, and higher densities of tadpoles reared in these lab conditions they had them in had higher cannibalism rates. And that's really the key one there. You'd expect an older, larger one to consume more if they are using cannibalism as a way of feeding, because it's just, easier for they just need more food. But the key bit there is that higher densities had more cannibalism. And so what they think is happening here is a pretty classic thing that can happen in ecology, where when you pull off a lot of the other pressures of an invasive species, so it's introduced to a new area that it can survive in. There's food, there's the environmental conditions, it can survive on its own and spread. What you also have then is usually a lack of its native predators, its native competitors, its native limitations within the environment.
Now their only predators are young teenage lab students.
And each
themselves.
Other. Exactly. So you move from what's called interspecific, between species competition, into intra-specific, within species competition.
Is that a survival thing, do you think?
It is, because the one that can survive the most is not the one that can deal with the predators the most, because they might not be there. It's the ones that can out-compete the others in this mad rush to colonize this new space and
it's a big space.
Make the most of it. So that's their limitation. So because it's all driven by competing with each other, the best way of competing with the others that are hatching in your generation is to eat them before they do.
Before they take you out. Yeah.
And so there'd be a big evolutionary drive there, that the ones that are consuming as much as they can of their others, because they're not really going to consume enough of their others to the point where they can't then breed themselves later in life. There's just so many of them. So the high levels of cannibalism aren't going to negatively impact their survival. It's more likely to increase it, which is also why you'd see in lower densities of tadpoles why there'd be less of the cannibalism, because then there is there's probably other resources for a start in that sort of situation. There's less of them, so there's more other stuff to eat, because they're not all there's not a heap of them all competing for the same cane toad food. But then also there'd be an evolutionary drive of you do need others, some level of others to breed with later.
They remind me of like a sci-fi villain. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like cane toads come straight out of Star Trek. They're cannibalistic, they're ugly, they shoot acid when they're upset, they get bigger and faster. Thinking about them makes me feel sick.
Hard to kill.
And I hope they know that.
So yes, Australian cane toad tadpoles are more cannibalistic than the ones from their native range in South America.
Good.
And one of the big reasons why it's so variable across Australia is because we have different amounts of them in different places at different times.
Cool, cool.
You know, the iPad generation, criticisms there.
Gen Alpha.
And they found that babies and toddlers exposed to television or video viewing may be more likely to exhibit atypical sensory behaviors, like being disengaged, disinterested in activities, seeking more intense stimulation in the environment. A lot of these things that we think of over the airwaves. We have a small little
They're coming
base.
to get you, Gabe.
They are coming to get me.
All those iPad kids.
They found your lair.
They want their iPads back.
Yeah. Have you tuned into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max, Peter, and Gabe. And we're going to hear from someone who should be here, but they're attending somewhere else today. It's Izzy, and they're talking about the classic marshmallow test.
I have something for you. Now, if you've ever done a Psychology 101 class, you would probably know the classic Stanford marshmallow test.
Right.
I do.
The classic.
It's great.
Aim of the original experiment was to understand when the control of delayed gratification develops in children. Classic, leave the kid in a room with a treat of their choice, which they can have now, or have a second one if they wait 15 minutes. Researchers found in the initial study, the researchers found that children would avert their eyes from reward objects or even try and reduce the frustration of waiting for their reward by entertaining themselves, and in one case, simply fell asleep. Now,
There's a famous, I don't know if it was in the original or I think it was in a replication of it. There's a very famous case of one kid trying to eat the marshmallows inside and leave the shell.
Succeeding.
Right.
Yes.
And leaving the shell.
Inside, leaving the shell and putting it back.
Yes.
That was
It's
fantastic. Such a great level of deception. I'm sure the researchers were like, wow,
they didn't prepare for
such
this.
higher level thinking.
Now, it is objectively an interesting study, as it observed the opposite of its initial hypothesis, which I just found out whilst researching the story, where instead of the rewards being an incentive to delay the want to eat it, it was actually a source of frustration, which then caused the delay in gratification. So, super interesting. As Gabe kind of pointed
so if
out,
someone just told you in 15 minutes, I'm going to give you a marshmallow, you'd be like, awesome.
I'm like, damn it. Yeah.
But if it's like, I'm going to put this marshmallow in front of you and then I'll give you a marshmallow in 15 minutes, you're like, oh, but I don't want to look at it now.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
So that was it was very interesting, and I think it's a very good kind of psychology experiment. It can be controversial looking back at historical psychology tests, but this one is a really interesting one. And as Gabe pointed out, this study has been done numerous times over. But the most recent one I'm going to talk about was the first one ever done fully online. From the Mohammed VI Polytech University in Morocco, QS ranking.
It's a range. 500 to 600?
430.
No QS is my guess.
Well, interesting. Peter is the closest, 401 to 500 in a range. But, Gabe, this is the first time they've been rated. So congratulations to the university as well. This year they got their first rating. So very exciting. They wanted to test, A, if the classic marshmallow experiment could be adapted for an online audience, and B, whether playing alongside a peer partner who promised not to eat their treat increased the children's likelihood to delay that gratification. When the recipients of the promise, which were about 5 to 6 year olds, waited longer and delayed gratification was more successful than children who had their partner express they might not consume their treat. Let's break that down a little bit, sorry. They found that explicit promises could support a child's motivation to delay gratification as opposed to just kind of leaving it up in the air. Of the 66 children in a UK-based home, they did a video call with another child who either promised not to eat their treat or expressed the possibility they might not eat their treat. So they had to go with either a promise or a social risk.
Right.
They found that children in the promise condition waited longer to eat their treat than children in the social risk condition. Younger children, but not older children, also successfully delayed their gratification more often in the promise condition than in the social risk condition. Therefore,
so we're on Zoom, and
we're on Zoom, yes,
and we both have a marshmallow in front of us, and I say to you, look, I pinky promise. Not that we can touch pinkies, but I pinky promise that I'm not going to eat mine so that we both get to. And you go, hell yeah.
Yes.
Right. But if I go like, cool, I might see you on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to eat it or not.
Yes.
The temptation of the marshmallow was too great.
And it was interesting.
You'd be like, well.
Even when communication was one-sided in an interdependent marshmallow task, explicit promises can support a child's motivation to delay gratification. So even if it was up in the air, someone could be like, no, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better than my other partner, and I'm going to get the second marshmallow.
Amazing. I just need to come back to interdependent marshmallow task.
Yes,
as a phrase.
That's directly from the study, by the way. This is a great study.
New name for this show, interdependent marshmallow.
So who's up doing an interdependent marshmallow task right now? But yes, this is a very interesting study.
Wait, is that real? Are you going to give me marshmallows?
Yeah.
If you're not, I'm going to be very frustrated.
Isn't this in our no idea contract, Peter?
I want marshmallows and I want them soon.
So that is my little bit of interdependent marshmallow studies for you.
I love it. So it's kind of saying like it's not just a test of delaying gratification.
No.
There's also elements
Social
of
bonds.
social pressure and social bonds and trust.
Also, yeah, a little bit of social
This is a
risk.
good one. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would be interested to see how peer pressure would play into it as
100%.
well. If you observe the kid as like slightly cooler than you're slightly older.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah,
impress.
pop a hat on one of them.
Yeah.
See how it plays out now.
Or
This
if
is
you
like
had
prisoner dilemma marshmallow test in children.
combine both of them, get the children in a prison.
Or maybe not. Let's not do the prison experiment.
No.
Standard prison experiment.
Not prison experiment, prisoner's dilemma.
Right.
You've got two people
Zimbardo is
and-
absolutely loving this.
So you tune into 4ZZZ, and the show with No Idea with me, Max, we got Peter, we got Gabe, we got this. No Idea Space News. 3i Atlas is an interstellar comet that will make its closest approach to Earth this Friday, December 19, marking a key moment in the journey of one of the rarest visitors ever observed in our solar system. Discovered on July 1 this year by the NASA-funded Atlas telescopes in Chile, 3i Atlas is only the third confirmed interstellar object known to have passed through our solar system. During its closest approach, the comet will be around, get this, 270 million kilometres away from hitting Earth.
By a whisker.
Yeah, missed it by that much.
Now, Maven is NASA has lost contact with a spacecraft that has orbited Mars for more than a decade. Maven abruptly stopped communicating to ground stations on the 4th of December.
It's in a tantrum or something.
NASA said this week that all was fine before it went behind the red planet.
Oh, well.
When it reappeared, there was only silence and some uncontrolled spinning.
Uncontrolled spinning. It got hit. It was a laser.
Fortunately, NASA has two other spacecraft orbiting Mars that are still active. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which was launched back in 2005, and the Mars Odyssey, launched in 2001. Apart from taking,
luckily, the reconnaissance one is much more subtle.
Apart from taking observations, these orbiters act as relays, allowing communication between the Mars rovers and Earth. And that's it for the space.
Very good.
news.
Imagine if the other two suddenly did the same thing. And you'd start playing that
and the
music
rovers,
real loud.
and the rovers are shut down. Anyway, we should talk about subscribing while we're here.
We should. Owen texted in a little earlier, Max, about the Italian bears we were talking about, saying if they were pet subscribers, not only would the warm inner glow keep them comfy in Alps, the 4ZZZ content will enrich their genes. I don't know if about gene enrichment's on our list of things that we offer. But you can subscribe your pet, can't you, Max?
You can. You can go to our website at 4zzz.org.au/support. If you're a pet, $25. Under 18, $25. If you're a concession or large language model or AI, it's $40. A full subscription is $80. Passionate subscriber, $140. And a super sub, get your name written downstairs for $500. What's happened, Peter? I'm allowed to say.
And if you are... I don't know. I think we should be charging AI more if you're asking me.
Yeah.
But if you are a super passionate full or concession subscriber, you're also eligible to go into our sub prize draw that we do every month. This month is really good. It's really good. We're going into the silly season. We're going out.
Yeah.
You want to grab some drinks with friends, and this month the sub prize that anyone from those subscription groups can go into to win is a $250 gift voucher to use at your pleasure at the Good Times and Great Drinks Bar at the End Bar in the West End. It is an institution. It's beautiful, cozy and charming. Perfect for if you're like me and like to pretend that you're not sweating and stinking hot at the festive season. Go in, enjoy the twinkly lights, enjoy a cuppa.
Become a subscriber and just learn more about how subscribing keeps us on air and what the different levels are at 4ZZZ.org.au/support.
And we see your name.
website. Yeah. When you sign up, you become you get your name
You are no
pops in our
longer
system, and when
anonymous.
you text in, we know who's texting in. and
Which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Depends what you text us.
That's right. The line is 0420-626-733. But we are just about out of time, aren't we, Max?
We are.
You can also listen back at the 4ZZ.org.au website to this show if you missed any of it, as well as a bunch of our previous shows with all the music in there as a full recording. If you want the condensed version with just us yapping away about science, it's available on your podcasting platform of choice. Just search No Idea 4ZZZ. That's no with a K. No Idea 4ZZZ. Thanks to Toby for editing that up, and thanks to you, Max and Peter, for your stories this week. We'll be back in your ears next week. Between now and then, don't spread disease in the sea. Don't expect Italian bears to be too friendly, and let us know if you give garlic mouthwash a try.
And we'll speak to you next week.
Bye.
Later.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.